Alrighty, everybody. Let me pull my mic closer. Hopefully, everyone is having a fantastic Sunday so far. Decided last minute here to spark up a live stream today because we've got quite a bit of weather to talk about happening across the country and also what may happen in the future. So let's see what we have here in the chat. Hopefully, this mic's working well. It looks like it is, at least on my end. Let's see here. We have Anna, Caleb, Cruz, Pez, Charles, Connor, JH7, TL, Austin Miller, Jake, Misty, and everyone else who is in the chat who's watching, or if you may not be chatting, glad to have you in here for yet another live stream. This is the first winter storm coverage of our 2025-2026 winter season. And it's starting off with quite a big event here. You can see at the top left-hand corner up there, we are at a level 4 out of 5 for impacts today. That's a major winter storm on the WSSI, which is the Winter Storm Severity Index scale. So we are at a major winter storm according to that scale for today, mainly for portions of Indiana and also in extreme northeastern Illinois, including the Chicago metro. So a pretty impactful snowstorm today across some of these areas. It looks like Indiana and Illinois again will be the most impacted, as well as back in Michigan. I do want to switch to radar just briefly here real quick, just to start with talking about this right here. Just a couple of hours ago, I think it was no longer than about an hour ago here. Let's see, this was actually, about 2.5 hours ago. We had kind of like this kind of hurricane, almost. It looked kind of like a hurricane out here in the middle of Lake, I think this is Lake Michigan. Could be wrong on that, but I think this is Lake Michigan here. And this was actually kind of like a snow hurricane. It looked pretty cool. Seeing that form over the lake and then move slowly off to the south. And those are kind of like little mesovortices almost. They're like little tiny areas of tight circulation and can actually bring wind gusts upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour. So we do have the chance for some intermediate blizzard conditions here with some of those little vortices if they can actually make it onshore, which I do think we will see tomorrow morning. I don't know about tonight, but definitely I believe we could see a few tomorrow morning and into the overnight hours tonight. So let's see here. Way too cold in eastern Missouri. Yep, we'll go over all the wind chill and stuff too. We'll go over all that. But I do want to start with, let's see here. I want to start with the forecast from the National Weather Service for snow totals here. So this is what they are expecting for the next couple of days here. This is for about the next 50 or so days. And they are anticipating about 12 inches of snow. You could see here, this is a bit buggy, but generally between 12 to 15 inches of snow across northwestern Indiana and Chicago. Expected you could see it glitch to 21 there. That's not expected. Actually, about 9 to 10 inches of snow expected out there in Chicago. And then also back up here towards western New York, also about a foot of snow in some areas back out there. Buffalo, upwards of about a half a foot of snowfall. Back up near Watertown, just south of Watertown here, 6 to 9 inches of snowfall out there. So plenty of snowfall possible here. And this actually extends also well into the southern portions of the Midwest. Look at all this light blue here. That's about 1 inch of snow being possible. And I mean, that extends all the way down into much of Indiana, much of Ohio, eastern Kentucky, of course, much of West Virginia, even western Pennsylvania. So actually, I believe the National Weather Service in Louisville, Kentucky is considering issuing winter weather advisories out here for northern Kentucky. So we'll have to see if they end up pulling the trigger on that. I actually don't think I turned on any of my winter weather advisories. We got to start turning all that stuff on. It's that time of year again. So let's go ahead and turn all of those on. For all I know, they could have already issued one. Yeah, we'll turn on all that. We'll leave all the wind chills and stuff off for now. But yeah, you could see here, switching back to our radar, we do have winter storm warnings in effect. That includes Chicago, South Bend, Indiana, so some pretty populated areas under a winter storm warning there. And then very scattered winter weather advisories because it's lake effect. So you have a few up here, a few down over here, one over here, north of Buffalo, some winter storm watches just in case that lake effect gets too heavy there. West Virginia also have a winter storm warning there, even into North Carolina and Tennessee. We have a winter storm warning in that area as well. So plenty of, you know what, I'm going to change this real quick. I changed to a gray overlay because it is not good to have, oh, this is the good old Radar Megabugs right there for you. It's not good to have a green overlay for snow. It just doesn't look right. Look at this. This is a Radar Megabug that they haven't fixed. Oh, got it. All right, so hopefully, I still don't see those county lines. I still don't see them. Yeah, you can, it's not saving at all. So, you know, we might have to go over, there you go. Ooh, that might be too bright. It might be too bright there. Let's go a little bit darker. If we are able to, please. Looks a little better. I don't know if that really changed. How's my day? Pretty good. I've been very busy the last few days. Very busy weekend, so I couldn't get out any content. But thankfully, not much really happened over the weekend in terms of weather. We did have some supercells out there in South Carolina that looked pretty crazy. So, I mean, those had like upwards of 2-inch hail, I believe, yesterday, which was pretty insane to see that in South Carolina. Yeah, Radar Omega came out with a update the other day, and it really didn't like change anything major. They updated the tracks, the storm tracks. But honestly, ever since that update rolled out, all this stuff here, all the display things with maps, I haven't been able to see roads, interstates, highways. It's just, they're not, I don't mean to be rude, but I am going to be honest. They're just ruining the app. They really are. It was better 6 months ago than what it is today. Really, the two updates that they've pushed out have made the app worse, in my opinion. They've changed around and made the UI garbage, and now they've messed with the storm tracks, and I don't even know how to use them. So, I don't know what they're doing. They're revamping Radar Omega, and they should call it Radar Omega making it worse. Because it's not getting any better. It's truly not. I'm going to be honest. It's just not, it's not getting better. 6 months ago, there was a few little bugs here and there, but everything still ran relatively smooth. You know, you'd have the occasional crash, but I mean, literally last live stream, my computer almost broke. You saw it. My stream almost fully crashed because of Radar Omega and the performance issues with the update they rolled out later, I think earlier that day. But yeah, anyways, let me switch this back to winter weather here. So I do want to switch over to this scene so we can see all of the different radars that I have open here. So the one at the top left is MRMS provided by Cyclonic WX. Great website. All the other ones you see there, top right is Radar Omega. mid, and the other 4 there are GR2 analysis. So I fixed that overlay. This is back for winter. The last time we used this was the Gulf Coast blizzard. So the problem with this is it takes a lot of time to update before we start up a live stream, so I don't do it too often. But yeah, you can see right here, I'll mark it the top right radar, right. Oop, can't mark it. Here, I'll move it. See it moving right there? Yeah, that's the one out there for Chicago. So we have a lot of snowfall northeast of Chicago. There may still be some flurries starting in Chicago, especially the northern side, but the heaviest snow is staying east. That will change later tonight. And then going to the Grand Rapids one, which is just left of that, you can see how heavy this snow is. Actually, I want to go full screen on this one. Look how heavy some of this snowfall is here over the lake. Very, very heavy snowfall that is going to be pushing down into like the South Bend area in Indiana. So, and some of these, again, might be able to see some little mesovortices. What you're looking for is little tiny spins. Mesovortices are not always tornadoes. Sometimes they're just tight areas of tight areas of little low pressure. Just lower pressure than the pressure around the surrounding region. So they create extra spin, and that spin turns into wind gusts. And that's what we saw with our snowicane earlier this afternoon, which you could see made landfall across southwestern Wisconsin. Literally right now, our little mesovortice here making landfall with its little eye right in this area. Man, that was great to see that on radar. I wonder if I can still go back. For those who are just tuning in and didn't see it, let me show you our little snowicane from earlier. Oh, I'm using the wrong radar. Here, we got to use the Grand Rapids radar site. Right there. So it was a very closed, little mesovortice here. Almost pretty much a closed, weak, very weak low almost. And it actually had wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour along the southern side, according to the HRRR. And it's pushing all the way. You could see, here it goes, and it's technically making landfall right now, right in this area. So, little snowicane making landfall. And you can see maybe another mesovortice back in here. We're just looking for little tiny areas of spin, and those could enhance the wind gusts. We had wind gusts of already 20 miles per hour out here earlier today. I'm going to go to the South Bend radar site. GR2 analysis is just better for snow. Yeah, there you go. I'm probably going to rebuy GR Earth for this winter season because that was very crucial last year. Basically, it's like MRMS with the GR2 code, pretty much. So it's really useful. And you can see this very, very heavy snowfall. I mean, we are probably getting, I'd say, 2 to 3 inches per hour snowfall rates out here, right across South Bend in northern Indiana. So very, very heavy snowfall falling out in those areas right now. Sadly, these cameras here, provided by Indiana DOT, are not available for commercial use. So I actually can't show them to you, believe it or not. But there is definitely very, very heavy snow falling across the area. Very, very blinding conditions. I'd say at best 10th of mile visibility. And when you're driving, that's probably next to no visibility. So definitely want to be careful. Be careful driving out there. Preferably don't drive if you are especially in this area. Try to just... I would just stay indoors, right? Or even go play in the snow. Go play in the snow or stay indoors. Just don't drive on the roads. That's the big thing. Don't drive on the roads. Here in Southern Virginia, when I was, before I moved even more into Martinsville, we were on a huge hill, and we only got like 1.5 inches of snowfall, and there was like 3 cars stuck at the bottom of the hill, because the hill went like this. You went down, and then it kind of plateaued, and then went right back up, and there was like 3 cars stuck at the bottom of the hill. So you got to be very, very careful with even these weaker snowfall events, which this is not a very weak snowfall event by any means. This turned really major overnight. I mean, really overnight. Even some of our better model runs, like the Euro, wasn't showing these heaviest snowfall rates. Now, I will credit the Euro a bit, because the Euro picked up on this a lot better than other models. But some of these snowfall rates are, like I said, 2 to 3 inches per hour. So very, very strong snowfall rates there. Yeah, it did uptrend a lot. If you were only using the GFS, this uptrended an insane amount because the GFS, like literally a day and a half ago, I looked at it. A day and a half ago, it was calling for a half inch of snow up here. And then one day later, it was calling for 18 inches. So GFS, it looks like it's going to be another GFS Fantasyland type year where it's not good at all. It's just not good whatsoever. It's just out of whack. Completely incorrect. So some of these snow bands are actually making it to northern Kentucky. One of our mods, Parliament, is down here in Louisville, Kentucky. I don't know. I doubt he's in the chat. He's a very busy person. But some of these snow bands are actually making it down here to northern Kentucky. The big thing is the cold temperatures. We don't know exactly when those cold temperatures are going to arrive, and it doesn't seem like they've arrived just yet. I'm checking for something really quick. Y'all give me just a second. Yeah, these. I want to see the temperatures out here if we are able to. Yeah. So snow is not going to be occurring south of like right in here. Maybe even still in that area. So many areas south of southern Indiana, so much of southern Indiana and all of northern Kentucky are not going to be getting in on snow at the moment. But as this blast continues to progress further to the south, these heavy bands of snowfall will be pushing into these other areas. So we'll continue to see those cooler temperatures push further and further and further south. And these could be very dangerous because your road conditions can go from perfect to completely blinding in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. So be very, very careful if you are traveling right along Columbus up through Indiana, or rather Indianapolis. Columbus to Indianapolis, Indiana. These areas definitely could go from great conditions to horrible in the matter of minutes to seconds there, as these snow bands are very, very heavy. If you look at the DBZ here, we're up to about 31 DBZ. That's considered heavy snowfall. Really, even this stuff up here, which is like 18 to 20, that's still moderate to heavy snowfall there. So very heavy snow bands there going into central Indiana. And you can see these bands up here. They actually read as rainfall, but they're snow. They are snow, and they're actually upwards of 40 DBZ. So, I mean, these are very, very strong, very intense bands of snowfall in here, which could have, again, those wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour if they do have those little mesovortices inside of them, which I don't see any clear ones right now, but we had plenty of them over the lake. They're way more common over the lake, and then once they make landfall, per se, they just completely dissipate and, they're gone quickly. So the main area for those 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts will definitely be like right along the coastal areas, not well inland. So definitely pretty heavy bands of snowfall there. If we are talking about snowfall totals for those who are, again, just tuning in here, I'm not gonna be using any model runs, at least for this event. I'm gonna only be using the official National Weather Service forecast here. And you can see, again, looking at a foot to 18 inches possible in these areas here, specifically close to South Bend, pointing to the west. Chicago, you're probably going to get somewhere between, I'd say, like 8 to 12 inches of snow is a really good possibility around the Chicago metro. And then also back out here across these regions towards Lake Erie. I don't even think some of these areas are under a winter weather advisory, are they? Yeah, like this region is not even under a winter weather advisory right now, which is crazy to put it in perspective. Winter weather advisories out in like this portion of the country, you need like 10 inches of snow for them. Whereas here in Southern Virginia, 2 inches of snow will give you a winter weather advisory, maybe even less than that. So definitely, keep in mind when you're also forecasting winter storms, there's different criterias for winter storms across the country. It's not going to be the same between Georgia, say like Atlanta, isn't going to have the same qualifications for a winter storm as what Minneapolis, Minnesota would have. Minneapolis was probably like almost a foot of snow before you get a winter storm warning, and Atlanta is probably like 2 inches of snow. Big differences between the National Weather Services and what their criteria is for winter storm warnings. Also could be getting some thunder snow here too. I believe we have a general thunderstorm risk last time I checked. It looks like they actually only have that over the... Looks like that's only over the lake now, but that was actually into northwest Indiana. Yeah, it looks like they, yeah, they did. They disextended that. It was into northwest Indiana before the 4 p.m. update, but at the 4 p.m. update, they pushed that back into only southern portion of Lake Michigan there. All right, let's go back over to this scene here. There you go. GFS doing GFS stuff. Yeah, I know a lot of people are talking about that severe threat. I already did a tweet on it earlier this afternoon. I'm not going to go too in depth with that because it just started being shown on the model run, so it easily could just be some bait from the GFS. So I wouldn't be concerned about it just yet. And it is winter, so a trough like that is exactly what you need for severe weather. You can't have one of those tinier amplituded troughs. You need like these mega troughs in order to get the moisture and the instability up there. But yeah, we are watching for the possibility of severe weather across the Central Plains going into Saturday next weekend. Depending what you mean on a level 4 out of 5, because we have a lot of different things. So if I go back to this scene, which is what you were questioning, that's a major impacts there. If we switch over to our WSSI, which is our Winter Storm Severity Index, which I've got to find because I haven't used it in a hot minute on this software. And we go to here. So see that red? Major impacts. So those red areas are under the gun for major impacts, which it's very jaggedy areas there, but that's where we have major impacts that are anticipated. And then that orange is moderate, yellow is minor, and then the kind of grayish you see here, that's just winter weather as a whole, not really any notable impacts. So you have a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and there's no level 5 on this. There's no level 5. We don't have an extreme risk. Extreme risks are very common in high elevation areas, but considering this is near Chicago, these areas are not high elevation whatsoever, so it also takes into account cities too. So like say Chicago gets 6 inches of snow. Around Chicago would maybe in like a 3 out of 5, where Chicago itself may be in a 4 out of 5 because Chicago's more populated, so there's more people to cause greater impacts because of that snowfall and more issues. And then you also have level 4 out of 5 in the sense of a category on a hurricane, the Saffir-Simpson scale, in terms of a hurricane. So there's different things. You have severe weather, you have hurricanes, and winter weather. Those are the 3 main things that go on a scale from 1 to 5. Those are your main 3 things that have that 1 to 5 scale. Do you think they could make a 5 out of 5 at some point for that? I don't think we'll see a 5 out of 5 today for this snowfall. And it all comes down to the impacts too. So again, it's obviously going to have higher risk areas for those more populated regions. But like last year, like the Gulf coastline, you guys don't see snowstorms much at all. So when we were forecasting even 3 to 6 inches of snowfall, that was level 5 out of 5 impacts because you don't see snow often. So it varies substantially on where you're located, on how rare that is. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more here. You know what? I might be able to do it. Nah. I really can't. We can try to do it from Radar Omega here. I want to show you a loop. This might work. Radar Omega is terrible with depicting what is rain and what is snow. That's why I don't like using Radar Omega. Hopefully Weatherwise releases They're a little bit better with the snow depiction and rain depiction, but they don't have an MRMS yet for snowfall. But yeah, anyways, this area here, there's little areas of rotation in this area, and that's those little mesovortices. I wonder if they're going to show up on radar. I don't think you could see them on radar. That actually might be one right there. Nah. They're very difficult to see on radar. The best weather radar for snowfall is GR Earth, and it's not even close. GR Earth does extremely well. Well, you can see it a bit on here. You can kind of see how they look like they're spinning a bit coming off the lake right in this area. Very, very heavy snow bands, too. Very, very heavy snow bands. Really heavy there. Again, 2 to 3 inches per hour. All right, but I do want to talk about the temperatures over the next few days because, yeah, they're not going to be fun. Not going to be fun temperatures whatsoever over the next day or two here across much of the central and eastern U.S. So for tonight, if we go to tonight, look at all those freezing temperatures there. So like St. Louis, you guys are going to get down into the mid to upper 20s. Back out here in Nebraska, we're looking at widespread areas into the lower 20s. Kansas too. That's Kansas, by the way, not Nebraska. Kansas, widespread 20s there. Nebraska probably going to be in the widespread low 20s to many of you guys will be in the teens tonight. And then that just gets colder with northern extent there. Could get some temps into the upper single digits there across North Dakota. So just very, very cold. Very, very cold weather here. All these areas you see right in here, that's your freezing point. So all these areas are going to be in freezing temperatures tonight. Again, those single digits and teens possible in like this area here, back up in here. And then Canada, obviously, that could be in the negatives there. Yeah, even some negative temperatures there. So that's going to be tonight into tomorrow morning. Tuesday morning will be the coldest for the eastern portions of the U.S. You can see those freezing temperatures, if I zoom out further here, all the way down into the southern Gulf coastline there, and then back up into the New England states. So large area of freezing temperatures. And remember, this doesn't account for wind chills. So if you are in like North Carolina down through Mississippi, Tennessee, these areas, it's probably going to be 5 degrees even cooler than that. Now, we could have areas even 10 degrees cooler than that in terms of wind chills, where those winds will be, a little bit stronger, maybe back up in North Dakota tonight into tomorrow morning. So wind chills will be even cooler, but a huge blast of cold air Tuesday morning. I mean, gracious, the only area that is above 40 degrees is the far southwestern U.S. Those are the only areas above 40 degrees in the whole country. Even Florida, is going to be in the upper 30s as a low for Tuesday morning. Even Miami, which is insane. That's crazy. So only California and Arizona are safe from this big blast. Really, really cold. And just like we talked about in our video a couple days back, there is going to be more moisture than previously thought by the GFS. The GFS was wrong. I accounted for that because I mentioned we would probably see a lot more snowfall than what the GFS was depicting there. And we are indeed going to see that not only back up there. I'm going to get rid of the counties real quick so you can see it a bit better. Back up there in the lake effect areas, but also down here. In the Midwest and the southeastern U.S. So going into tonight, you can see all of these little spotty snow showers. Now, you got to get very lucky. We're not looking at anything accumulating probably south of southern Indiana, anywhere south of this region right in here, probably south or east of this area is not going to be seeing any type of accumulation snowfall if you even see snow. So these little areas of quick hitting snowfall there, it's just going to be little brief moments of snow. And some could be pretty heavy, almost like a snow squall. So you want to be very careful if you are traveling out there tonight, as those snow squalls could hit very, very quickly and out of nowhere. And going into very early tomorrow morning, you could see this is the main band right in here. This could bring a little bit of accumulation to some spots in Kentucky and Tennessee, especially mainly in West Virginia for this band of heavier snowfall back out here near Charleston. So you can see that's going to be a little bit heavier snowfall lasting a little bit longer. And then that could get all the way even into the Piedmont, Carolina here, even into central eastern North Carolina, eastern, southeastern Virginia. Could get in on some snow going into tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. So very, very low chance for some flurries there, but still possible. Most areas that we'll see flurries will be like right in here. This is the best shot for your snowfall, all in this area here. That's where we're likely going to see a lot higher chances for some snowfall. I'm trying to see if that goes out anymore. Yeah, even look at that little sneaky snow showers on the HRRR here too. Even getting into Georgia there. Even getting into Georgia, some snow showers going into tomorrow night. And then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, that brings better snow chances up to the New England states, back up in here. Let's see if the NAM handles that well whatsoever. Yeah, not too well, but still going into Tuesday, better chance for snowfall up there in like eastern Pennsylvania, Tuesday afternoon and overnight, as opposed to like tomorrow. I don't know how much snow we saw back in Ontario and Michigan earlier, because we did have a pretty good winter, some pretty good snow. It wasn't actually necessarily a snowstorm. It wasn't a snowstorm by definition. Let's see here. Okay. I mentioned the severe weather on a tweet on Twitter. I'm not going to talk about it much on here because it just started. Everybody's going crazy saying moderate risk and enhanced plus risk when models just started trending to severe weather. We went from minimal severe weather to some severe weather possible in the matter of a day, and I'm going to give it another day before I really start discussing it. And I'll discuss it mainly on Twitter. For tomorrow, I have a bit of a breakdown on there, but I won't be live tomorrow on this channel. I'll only give a little update on the severe weather threat over there on X. Let's see here. Now let's go back over to our main radars again. So Chicago, you see this lighter snowfall starting back again. You guys had a good break from the heavier stuff. But it looks like maybe some of that heavier stuff is beginning again across the northern and northwestern portions of Chicago. And the worst of that will be later tonight. I actually forgot to mention that. I want to go to that. I want to go to the HRRR here. And it depends greatly where this band sets up. There's uncertainty on how far west it will get. You can see on the HRRR that has a band setting up like just north of Chicago. So this is going to have greater snowfall totals back towards actually Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as opposed to back in Chicago here. So if we go forward here, you can see instead of that band setting up in Chicago, it sets up considerably more north, and you can see upwards of actually almost 2 feet of snowfall there across Milwaukee in Wisconsin. So we'll have to see where that band sets up, but either way, we are going to see additional heavy snowfall across Chicago tonight and into tomorrow morning. And of course, west of South Bend will definitely get in on at least a foot of snowfall overall over the next 24 to 48 hours. And then looking at the NAM 3K here, I want to see where that has the band setting up. A little bit closer to Chicago, and you can see like nothing for Milwaukee, right? So it depends really, really greatly on where this band sets up, and they're very hard to predict exactly where they will set up until they do set up. Which is why in the last 12 hours you saw a lot higher snowfall forecasts be put out across South Bend, because we realized, okay, snow band's definitely going to be setting up across South Bend, and it's going to be heavier than most models were depicting. So snowfall totals increased from like 6 inches of snow to 18 inches of snow in the matter of 12 hours. So big uptrends there in the last couple hours for South Bend, Indiana. And Chicago really had the same ordeal there, but Chicago went from I think it was like 1 to 3 inches of snowfall about 2 days ago was forecasted, and then now they're up to like 3 to 12 or so, 3 to 12, something right around there. I know the official forecast is like 9. Again, I'll show you the official snowfall totals here. You could see they're right about 9 to 10 there. So the National Weather Service is thinking that band will stay probably just barely offshore of eastern Wisconsin and northeastern Illinois, and then mainly be onshore across mainly Indiana and maybe southwestern Wisconsin there as well. Which, if we go back to our MRMS, you can see that main band definitely set up over Indiana at the moment. So that's your main lake effect band right there. Right in there. So we'll have to see how much this wiggles around. Again, we'll go back to higher resolution radar here. And again, 2 to 3 inch snowfall totals per hour with this very, very heavy snowfall. And very sharp cutoffs too. Like Middlebury, maybe 3 inches of snowfall at this point. Somewhere probably right around there. Whereas like South Bend could be, I don't know, maybe like 6 inches of snowfall. I don't exactly know how much you guys may be at this point. Let's see. Where is my phone at? I've got a report app on my phone. I might be able to at least get an idea. See if we've got any snow total reports out there. Nah, no snow total reports, which strange. Nobody's reporting any snow totals. Now, there is snow falling. There's plenty of reports of snow. Just no reports of measurable snow out there just yet. I'll go to a site. If I can find it. I remember a site from last year we had. Yeah, there's no reports yet. No reports at all from any of these areas. Gracious. Upwards of 6 inches of snow, though, up there just southeast of Midland, Michigan. But there's no snow reports whatsoever anywhere in southwestern Michigan, anywhere in Indiana, and anywhere in northeastern Illinois. There is one way north of Chicago for 1.2 inches of snowfall, but there's like barely any snowfall reports. We could use a 10-to-1 ratio in this case, but it's probably not going to work too well. So, like, we could guess. So that would be about 3 to 4 inches of snowfall in this area. But honestly, it's probably a little bit higher. It's probably a bit higher because this has been ongoing for a long time at this point. Yeah, like you guys started getting snow probably close to 2 o'clock. Let me go back. This is probably going to break my computer. Let's see. See when South Bend started getting some snow. Yeah, so South Bend, yeah, right about 2 o'clock Central. I think you guys are actually Eastern, so actually 3 o'clock Eastern there for South Bend. So yeah, you guys got to be right about that 6 inches of snow mark, I'd have to imagine. Because again, these are heavier snow bands. They're not light snowfall bands here. They are very, very heavy, and they will very quickly amount up to a high amount of snowfall if you do end up getting under one of these lake effect bands. I'm going to turn off my audio here on this end, and I'm going to see, I know we have some chasers out there. I know at least 3 in this area. I mean, yeah, it's not like a crazy amount of snow, but that's at least 3 to 4 inches of snowfall. Everything's covered, completely covered, so. at least 3 to 4 inches of snowfall across this area here. Minimum 3 to 4. It could be as much as 6 inches of snowfall. And that's just going to keep on adding up as we go with time, so. Oh, yeah, there's your 2 snowfall reports that we've gotten so far. 2 snowfall reports so far from Michigan alone, and that's about it. I mean, we really haven't gotten any more. We did get a 1.2-inch snow report from, like, up in here. But there's been no snow reports at all in this entire area. 0. This is out here near Cleveland. I don't know how much of this is snow for you guys. Actually, we can check with correlation coefficient. Much of this is probably snowfall. I'd have to imagine much of that. Let me go over here, actually. Yeah. Yeah, much of that is probably snow. If we could go over to Pennsylvania real quick and look at correlation coefficient here. Yeah, so this is where it changes into more mixed, and then it's like complete rain in this area. So it stops, the line is like somewhere right in here, right? Because all of this is probably mixed in here. Much of this is probably snow. So mostly, that was a terrible S. Oh my goodness. Snow over here. And then kind of mixed in here. And then just rain over here. Now, of course, those lines are just very much rough estimates. Very much rough estimates. But it's got to be somewhere around that. Yeah, because you could see this is snow. This right in like in here is mixed. And then rain. So it changes right in this area. So all of that in Cleveland is probably all snow. Maybe except for like over Cleveland. Let me go to, let's see CC on this part here. Oh, I can't really tell. What I was looking for, hold on, we got to get a bigger loop. I'm looking for that CC to go back some and then move over Cleveland. So maybe some more mixing over Cleveland. More mixed precipitation around Cleveland there. Another way we can also kind of get an idea is using the observations from temperatures. And yeah, you could see it's how, I wonder how long ago this was though. 6 o'clock? Yeah, so this was about 40 minutes ago. So this is definitely pulling through here. So more, definitely like mostly all snow back in here. Maybe a little area of mixed in that region, and then kind of a bit more mixed back in here too. But yeah, you could see for sure, all rain over this area. 46, you're nowhere near that freezing point. So 100% all rain for sure in this area. And this, again, kind of more, very much mixed. Further east you are, better chance for rain. Further west you are, better chance for snow. And then you can barely even see it, but back here is all snow. We can do the same down here for like the Louisville area here. This looks like rain. Yeah, this is all rain down in here. And that's all snow. So we could switch to MRMS. So this is likely snow up here. That goes back this way too. So that's all snow up there. Actually, let me change that. Right in here is all Gracious Day Radar Omega. This is all snow. This is mixed. And then this is complete rain. There you go. And we can maybe get an idea of that again because of the MR or the METARs rather. Yeah, you could see you're going to be more mixed, like right in here. Very close to snow. Very, very close to snow, but it's going to be probably a bit more mixed. So that's definitely a bit tougher right in here. A bit tougher to say where that rain, that snow, rain, and mix line is. The good news is there's not much ice today, so we're not dealing with like an ice storm or anything like that. The only area where we have ice is back up here in Maine. Apparently, we have a chance for some ice out of this band. But much of this is snow. You could see full-blown winter storm up here in Quebec, and Ontario, and yeah, that area. Quebec, Canada, all the way back down to the border there in Ontario. Full-on snowstorm now. Really good snowstorm for everybody up there. Right on the US-Canada border. Yeah, that cuts off right in here. I'm drawing it based on a different radar. So this is all full heavy snow. And then this is kind of a mix of ice. You have both ice and mixed precipitation in here. And then this is all rain. Even though this does say this is because of higher elevation here. If we switch to single radar sites, higher elevations, you can see 33. So you could definitely get some snow in the higher elevations there. But more towards like the kind of lower elevations, 40 degrees, you're not going to be getting snow in that. So some of the higher elevations may be getting snow here, but much of that's probably mixed to rain. Yeah, black ice will probably be an issue across much of the morning commute tomorrow. Much of the U.S. The good news is a lot of these spots are going to be isolated rain showers and snow showers, so it won't be horrible, but like southern Ohio, some of these areas that get just a light dusting of snow or even just a light bit of rain, you could get some black ice. So be very careful and just be aware of that. I don't think it will be a huge issue anywhere. It being specific, I don't think it will be a huge issue anywhere, but we could see some patches every now and then in some of these regions. It ends up being a bigger issue when we have a good low pressure. This is back end low pressure stuff. So our main low is back up here in New York with that main amount of snow up there. This is all from the jet stream behind our low pressure. If you look here, see if I can change it. Yeah, you can see here, this is where your jet stream, your big trough is right in here. And your low pressure main low is back up there. Maybe, I'm sure you've got to have a secondary low, right? You have to. Oh my, you actually have 3 lows. Most are actually back up in here. Back up in the northeast. So you've got like 3 different low pressures up in this area. 3 different lows in this area. And you could see right in here, that's kind of what's forcing that's what's causing our lake effect. Because these winds are quickly traversing off to the east, and that's causing winds back in this area. And so that's pulling cold air from Canada, and that cold air meets the warm lake, and that causes instability, and that causes moisture. And because it's warm over the lake and then cold over land, those snowstorms, or rather snow showers, I should say, snow showers can intensify over the lake, gaining intensity as rain and become very, very heavy rain over the lake. And then once they get to the, northwest portion of Indiana, as it goes over that cold area, it quickly turns to straight snow. So like these areas here, if I show you, not as much rain anymore. A lot of this was showing up as rain on the radar, but like some of this may be rain in here. And then right as it gets towards these freezing temps, 29 degrees, 30 degrees, that's when it's going to turn straight snow. But you can see 35 degrees there, so that immediately, right as it hits the land, it may be a bit of a mixture there of snow and sleet. And then as it pulls into more of Michigan and Indiana, turn to complete snow. But yeah, you can see all the temps here. Very clear. Very, very clear where our blast of cold air is right now. Clear cutoff of where our blast of cold air has infiltrated at the moment. So that's where our blast of freezing temps has infiltrated. And again, if you are here in the eastern U.S., these regions will be more of... actually, let me bigger circle here. These areas will be more in Tuesday morning, not Monday morning, more of Tuesday morning. I don't know about... I actually don't know about freeze warnings yet. I haven't checked that. Let's see. Freeze watches and warnings. Oh, I can see a bunch in the background. Yep. Let me get rid of those MEDARs. Yeah, so a bunch of freeze warnings there. Mainly in the southern U.S., and the reason for that is because the southern U.S. is more... it's not as common to get these cold of temps in the southern U.S. as what it is in, like, the northern U.S. So back up in, like, North Dakota, it's probably going to take pretty much negative in order for you to get a freeze warning. Whereas down here in Alabama, something like 30 degrees might get you a freeze warning. I don't know, what are they calling for down here? 28. See? 28. So literally 28 degree temperatures gets you a freeze warning in Alabama. So again, that's the thing where it depends greatly. This is Radar Omega. Caleb. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want to keep those on long at all because they clutter up your softwares. Like I said, once I get deeper into snow season, get deeper into winter here, I'll be using GR Earth again. But the two last three, actually, I think we've had 3 Radar Omega updates in this year. All 3 have made the software worse. I can't even customize, like, the roads now. These used to have numbers. I can see the streets still, but the main highways and interstates, none of them have numbers anymore. None of them have numbers, so it's crazy. They keep making more and more bugs for themselves. Yeah, the new GFS has been in for next week. You got to remember, we had a time change, so everything is an entire hour sooner, so the 18Z is already long done. Everything is an hour sooner. But again, I'm not interested in that threat right now because everybody's overhyping it and it's only been on the models for literally 12 hours. Like, we've literally only had like 3 GFS runs that show severe weather being likely next week, and everybody hops on the moderate risk for tornadoes and violent tours being possible next week. Everyone hops on that train. I'll start paying attention to it, like I said, tomorrow. If it is there tomorrow at the 12Z run, I'll start paying much closer attention to it. And the SPC may highlight a 15% in Eastern Texas for Saturday. They could do that tomorrow. They could highlight a day 6 slight risk in Eastern Texas. But honestly, the safer bet is to just give it another whole day of runs because there's not a lot of agreement. People see big trough and assume violent tornadoes, but you have to remember it is winter. It is winter. We are not in spring anymore. This isn't late April or in May anymore. A big trough doesn't necessarily mean severe weather is guaranteed. It is way more difficult to get instability in winter than it is in spring. I mean, you guys saw it in June and July. Pretty much every single severe event we had in June and July was like 5,000 CAPE. We even had one with 9,000 CAPE. 8 to 9,000 CAPE. And in winter, we're over here looking for 250 to 500 instability for severe weather. We're in fall, not winter. We're very close to winter. We're very, very close to winter. Very late fall. We're getting right on the nose of winter. Considering what we're experiencing, Ben, we're pretty much in winter. We're not officially in meteorological winter yet. That's on December 1st. But considering this early blast of cold air, it's pretty much winter early. It really is. Some of your like tornado season, you can get tornadoes could start up in like mid February. We can start seeing big troughs in mid February and good instability in mid to late February. So, I mean, we're only like what, like 20 some days, 21 days, I don't know. I'm trying to think how many days this month has. Like 22 or some days until winter's officially underway. It's definitely not 30 days. I know for a fact. I know for a fact November does not have 39 days. Oh, you said 30 days for November. I was like, what? 30 days in November. See, Ben, you got me confused right there. It's like November does not have 39 days. So it should be like 22 or so days. Yeah, 22 days. If you count today. But honestly, it's pretty much winter, man. It really is. When you have temperatures across most of the US below freezing and some areas are going to be in the negatives, yeah. It's pretty much winter, dude. I do know though it's not officially winter. I acknowledge that. It could be snowing in. Is it snowing in central Iowa? Yeah. You see, we have some big time snowfall behind this too. If I go and show you guys, this is the best MRMS you can have for free without paying for a software. This is Cyclonic WX here. Yeah, and you could see that really good MRMS on this site, especially for snow. You can see all the snow all the way back up into Minnesota still. All this snowfall still behind it, and that's because our trough is very, very large. Our trough is like this. Our trough is like right in here. So your low pressure is like right on the edge of that trough, and that trough is still causing winds from the northwest. So you're still getting snow back in here. Any moisture that's able to form up here, since you're probably into the upper 20s, maybe even mid 20s in here for your temperatures already, it's just instantly snow. And then you can see that's where your heaviest snowfall is, back in Ontario and Quebec. And then again, it's hard to see it, but you can really see right in here. It almost looks like you've got some rotation inside of your snow showers. And that's what you call mesovortices. Very common in lake effect events. Very, very common in lake effect events. Now, these are a little bit more pronounced than normal. They're not always this obvious. Impacts for Anna, Ohio. Let's see. Thank you for the $2 donation as well. Appreciate it. Probably not anything notable. You'll probably get some flurries tonight, I'd have to imagine. Let's see. Yeah, some isolated flurries tonight. And then maybe some heavier snow about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. And that could cause a bit of black ice, but it's probably going to be snow, which is less likely to cause black ice. Black ice is more common when you have a good amount of rainfall and it leaves puddles, and it leaves little tiny areas of moisture on the road, and then you have a freeze overnight. So That would be in the case of, say, if this was rain. If this was all rain, then it would be a pretty big threat for some black ice. But even some snow, like your snow still could melt on contact with the ground. And if you get enough of that happening, you could still see a little areas of pocket black ice. But no, nothing major for you guys out there in Ohio. At least in your area of Ohio. Hope we at least get one good snowstorm. I think it's likely that we will get a good snowstorm. Really, we continue to trend in the right direction with the winter forecast that I put out earlier. We are still trending in the right direction for the potential of big snowstorms in the eastern U.S. We have trended in the right direction. We haven't. Last year we kind of trended in the wrong direction as we went into December. This year, so far, we're not in December yet. We're in early November. We are trending in the better direction for a better chance of snowfall across the I-95 corridors and back out in like these areas here. Definitely have trended in the right direction for people in these areas. I think we have a really high chance for a big nor'easter. Either that or maybe like 2 to 3 smaller nor'easters. But I do think we will see a big nor'easter this year. Last year, I was not confident in that whatsoever. No, we are, let me see what the CPC says. I feel like, let's see here. We're not in a weak La Nina yet. Yeah, we're still at a 55% chance for a La Nina, and I'm pretty sure we're still under a La Nina watch. But we kind of don't want that to go full La Nina, to be honest with you. A neutral to very weak La Nina is what we want. We don't want it to be full El Nino, and we don't want it to be full La Nina. We want it to be in the middle. No, we're in a neutral bin. We're officially in a neutral phase. The CPC said that like a month and a half ago. Really, we're very close to a La Nina at this point. From what I saw on the ocean temps, yeah. I mean, we are on the edge of a La Nina, really. So, August through November. Really? I'm surprised I haven't declared a La Nina, honestly. That's really a La Nina there. We are below the 0.5 threshold for, what is that, 2 months right there? Actually, no. Yeah, we are. I think we are in a La Nina, honestly. I feel like we are. So you have to be below this 0.5. This is the neutral right in here. This is the neutral. Anywhere between plus 0.5 and minus 0.5 is neutral. Anywhere between plus 0.5 and plus 1.5, or however high you can go, is El Nino. And then anything lower than negative 0.5 is La Nina. And you have to have it for 3 months. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, July, August, September, or September, October, November. And then they reset it back to December, January, February. 3 months. You have to be in a minus 0.5 for 3 months straight. So I believe in this case it would be probably September, October, November. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, that might be why they're holding off on it, because it might actually be the end of November. That might be when they mention maybe being in a La Nina. If we do that, it would be the beginning of October, which is here. And I mean, we're still in it. So as long as we don't go above that 0.5 line for like another month, yeah, about a month and a half or so, we should be in a La Nina. I think personally, I think we're already in. I'll have to talk to Catman about that. He's really good with the El Nino and La Nina stuff. I'm still a bit new to exactly what temperature is a La Nina and an El Nino, but he's really good at that. But we're probably like we got to be on the edge, right? We got to be right on the edge. Either way, this is good. This is what you want to see. Whether it be a weak La Nina or a neutral phase, either way, the temperatures are below average. And that's exactly what you want to see if you're looking for a big snowstorm along the eastern U.S. You don't want it to be too strong. You can't have too strong of a La Nina. If you have too strong of a La Nina, that's going to force the jet stream north. So we cannot have too strong of a La Nina here. Because a La Nina brings the jet stream further north, and an El Nino brings it further south. But a La Nina brings cooler temperatures. So you have to find a middle ground, which is typically a weak La Nina to a neutral phase. And we are actively in a neutral phase, but you can see, again, this is all below average here. So seriously, I really do think like we are pretty much in a La Nina. It's just not declared by the CPC, which is obviously who makes it official. Let me see. I can't check that. Have to close it out and then go back to it. This is a 7-day change, which looks like we are still favoring a La Nina. Some of our climatological models, gracious day, that's a mouthful. Some of them are hinting towards this cooler temperatures already beginning to warm, but that's not happened yet. So we'll have to pay very close attention to it. Our like 3.4 Nino is like right in here. And you can see that's kind of favoring more cooling than warming at this point. There's a little bit of warming here and there, but it's really more favoring cooling at this point. But this whole thing, this whole big thing is what you want to look at for your Enzo phase. And you may be saying, well, it's useless, right? We could barely even predict 24 hours in the future. How are we going to predict months in advance? This thing right here, this is a huge basin. The Pacific is giant. It's one of the most influential patterns in oceans, obviously, for our weather pattern as a whole, if not maybe. I think a very close call would probably be like the North Pacific Oscillation, which changes more frequently, though. But this is in the Pacific, which is one of the biggest basins. And those sea surface temperatures are literally everything. It's crazy how sea surface temperatures literally change our whole pattern. And it is the most influential pattern for climatology ever. That's your Enzo phase. So that's what helps us predict long-term weather. And we could predict it fairly well in about the 1 to 2 month range. But once you go beyond 2 months, when using climatology, that's when it gets really hard. It gets very difficult to do it any more than about 1 to 2 months in advance, which is why for like my winter season forecast, I tried to wait as late as I could, but I ended up putting it out in, I think I put it out in mid-October. I think I put it out in mid-October. So I didn't wait as long as I would have liked to. But we're still, that winter forecast that I did is still, it's still something I completely agree with. The only thing I would probably change with my winter forecast is the cooler temperature anomalies I did for January. I probably would have pulled the cooler temperature anomalies even further to the west. Because it really looks like we've trended towards a really, really freezing cold winter. Which, yeah, it's winter, but I mean, we'll probably see a bunch of Arctic blasts. Yeah, but see, look how things are going to change here. We're going to be in a big warm-up next week, and so that could promote a better chance for severe weather, just being warmer as a whole. And you can see they have precipitation outlined there above average and a precipitation risk there. So we're definitely watching for a chance for severe weather, definitely on like the west side of this risk going into Saturday next week. Obviously, this upcoming Saturday. So we want to keep an eye on that. But they haven't outlined any severe weather yet. You can see that wind risk, which if you didn't know, a large wind risk like that is assigned to a big trough because big troughs pull in winds behind them. So when you get a big trough that traverses the Rockies there, those higher elevations end up getting higher wind speeds because of the trough. And you can see warm and very, very above average for precipitation. And then we kind of cool down a little bit, but still above average for temperatures and above average for precipitation. And then finally, winter will probably be underway in the last week of November is really when we should be in our more staying in our more cool pattern. Because this is kind of like just that false taste of winter, right? It's not a complete, we're not in our full winter pattern just yet. If you take a look at your temperatures here, you can see well below average, obviously, for this upcoming week. And then we're right back to above, and then finally getting into the last week of November. At least not on this model run anymore, though. You really can't even see it on this model run. That still keeps it above average, so. Yeah, we get one false taste of winter, and then really above average for the rest of November. We could get another blast. I would watch for that. But it wouldn't be nearly as major as now. Let's see if the Euro has temperature anomalies. Nope. But you can see it definitely cools down. It definitely cools down. It's not cold, but it cools down. Your highs are only in the 60s. So it definitely cools down. Yeah, and this is what is going to give us an active winter. Look at all the troughs. We are going to have a lot of dips in the jet stream this winter season. We are very much in a favorable pattern for that, so. If we keep this up, I mean, look at the troughs. One huge trough now. 2, 3, 4. 4 huge troughs in the next 3 weeks. So that's why I also believe we'll have a really good winter season too. And you can see, look at all these low pressures near the coastline too. Look, they're all of them. Look at it. We got the number 1 right here. 1. Here comes another one. 2, right along the coastal areas. 3. This is what I'm talking about. And that one's a little bit further away, but 3 to 4 nor'easters that actually just end up bringing more rain than snow. And that's because it's not cold enough yet. And I think that I'm pretty confident that pattern will continue into December. But again, I don't think our main season is not going to be underway until the end of December. Like, we're having our false taste of winter now. We'll have a couple instances of what we're seeing now through early mid-December, and obviously we'll officially be in winter on December 1st. So we'll officially start winter in December. But I don't think our main pattern of consistent blasts and big troughs and big snowstorms, what will really accumulate our snowfall, I don't think that will start until the end of December, all of January, all of February, and then even into early March. January should be really crazy. Watch us get like an Omega block or something that just completely destroys this winter. Everything just ends up falling apart. No one gets more than like 6 inches of snow across eastern New York. You never know, man. That's the thing. The Omega block is like the ultimate forecast killer. If an Omega block happens, every forecast, throw it in the trash. Because it's just the ultimate killer of any type of forecast. It can destroy a tornado season. It can destroy a hurricane season in terms of landfall. It can destroy a winter season. It can destroy anything. It can destroy any season. It can make it above average, well above average in any season, too. Typically, an Omega block is going to bring above average temps in any season, whether it be winter or summer. I also like how earlier this year, there was a couple people on Twitter that posted those long-range runs of an Omega block. And people were like, oh, this season's not going to be an above average tornado season because we're going to have an Omega block in April. And they kept doing it. So here we were in February looking out at the beginning of April, and people are like, Omega block, nothing's going to happen for this tornado season. And then by the time we roll around to March, now April looks like it won't be an Omega block. And so guess what they move on to? They move on to May and say May's going to be an Omega block. And they just keep on pushing it. They keep on, like, hold on, I wonder if I can show you. They always use this model run. This is the two favorite model runs from people who love to hype things. The GFS specifically 300 plus hours out. That's their favorite. But the best is the CFS. Because this sucker goes 798 hours out. This thing goes to December 12th. That's more than a month away here. And actually, there's a new favorite thing now in the community. There's these snow maps that are literally like 1,500 hours out. I'm not even kidding. Like, they're literally snow maps all the way until the middle of January. Which is crazy. So there's like specific points where you're where forecasting things are too hard. For those who are new to forecasting, it's not that difficult to forecast in the 1 to 2 day range. That's pretty easy. Then you want to start looking at more of your consistency between your model runs when you start getting towards that 3 to 5 day range, because it can get a bit more difficult. 5 to 7 days, you want to make sure you're using multiple model runs, and definitely use ensembles. Ensembles are your biggest friend. It doesn't matter what range you're at, whether it be 12 hours out or 2 weeks out. Ensembles are your best friend. And then once you get beyond a week out, everything is a lot worse. Really, beyond a week out, you don't want to use anything more than ensembles. So between a week to 2 weeks out, ensembles are really the only thing you want to use. Maybe a couple model runs that you compare with deterministics. Don't post a single deterministic. You want to compare deterministic runs with ensembles to see if there's a pattern there in that 1 to 2 week time frame. After 2 weeks, the hardest range to forecast is that 2 to 4 week time frame. That's where it's a lot harder to forecast anything that's going to happen. And then in the 1 to 2 month time frame, you can use climatology really well. So like your La Nina, your El Nino, your neutral phase, your long range climatological ensemble runs. Those are really good for that 1 to 2 month time frame. And then after 2 months out, why are you even looking? After 2 months out, it's terrible. So the hardest time frame to forecast is probably about that 7 days, 7 days all the way to like 4 weeks out. That's your hardest time frame to forecast. And it's nearly impossible to get anything right unless you're forecasting like what you can get right in that time frame is like above average temps or below average temps or precipitation. But if you're trying to forecast severe weather or anything in that 1 week to 4 week time frame, it's just not going to end well. It's not going to end well at all. But you could do something like this here. Watch, I'll show you. So here's an example of what you can do. So for the first few days, you want to use things like, your deterministics, the GFS, the Euro, and your ensembles. And you can compare those to see how well they agree. Like, here's your GFS ensemble. Here's your GFS deterministic, and here's your Euro. And I see some really dang good agreement that there's going to be a big old trough going into next weekend. That's about 150 hours out. That's pretty good consistency and agreement to say we're going to be seeing something big next week, but specifics are limited. So, we just want to keep watching it. And then we get to about that, 2 week time frame, 300 hours out. Now watch. GFS, Euro, ensemble, completely different from every single one. So that is no consistency 2 weeks out. That's your time frame. That's the hardest to forecast because you can't quite use your climatology because it's not far enough out, and you can't quite use your deterministics because it's not close enough, and you can't use your ensembles because it's too far out but not also close enough. So that's like your dead zone. That's like your radar dead zone for model runs right there. And then going on beyond that, you could start to use like your climatology models like the CFS just to see if it agrees with absolutely anything. But you really want to use like analogs going past 2 weeks out. Analogs, the CPC, the Ninos, which is your El Nino La Nina, your Pacific Oscillation, your Atlantic Oscillation, your polar vortex. Those are the things you want to use to forecast beyond 2 weeks out. And then again, once you get past, you could use climatology pretty well 2 weeks out. I know I just said like it's hard, but you can use it pretty well 2 weeks out, honestly, now to think of it. Probably like that all the way from 2 weeks to 2 months, you can use climatology pretty well. And then after 2 months, things start to change in the near term drastically, right? Because if you go and say it's going to be a La Nina going into February, right? A La Nina won't happen till February, but then a La Nina happens in late December. Now you've screwed up your entire forecast because it happened sooner than forecasted, so everything's going to change sooner than you originally anticipated. So you can also experiment it, with yourself too, in terms of writing things down and seeing what models perform best in what range for you. I found that the GFS is only semi decent in the 1 to 5 day time frame. More than 5 days out, the GFS is garbage, and it's really not worth paying attention to, honestly. And then past that 5 day time frame, really just the biggest thing is trends. That's the biggest thing, is looking for your model trends. That's going to be your friend no matter what. That's what's going to be your friend. It doesn't matter what time frame you're in. Compare models and compare past models. That's going to be your friend. Believe me, you will be able to be a much better forecaster if you do that. If you're able to compare models and figure out their biases. That's a big thing. Compare models, use previous models and compare the previous models to the current models, and use ensembles. Never use one thing. Never use one thing. Never use one forecast map for snow. Never use one single severe weather forecast model run. Never use one thing ever. Because each one of these model runs are implemented differently to different different little tweaks with them, and so they can pick up on smaller little patterns that others may not be able to pick up on. Like the GFS tends to do bad everywhere except for in about the 3 day time frame for severe weather, whereas the European model run is okay at severe weather, great at winter weather, and pretty bad at tropical weather. So, like, the Euro is really good for winter. It's okay for severe, and then it's bad for tropics. And then the GFS is okay for severe weather, bad for winter, bad for tropics. That's really the only time you should use the GFS, is when you're in severe weather season. That's the only semi-okay one. But all right, I've started a big old rant here. I could sit here and rant for like 5 hours. I'll do that in our gaming stream this week. If you didn't know, we will have a gaming live stream on this channel this upcoming Friday, 2:30 p.m. We will be live from 2:30 p.m. Eastern all the way until just after midnight. We're going to do a 10-hour gaming stream full of a bunch of stuff that we're going to be doing. We'll play with viewers on different games, and we'll also mix in some weather talk too. I'm sure we'll end up doing some weather talk. You know what I just realized? That's probably going to be the day before a severe weather threat. You know what? We might just have to do it, I might just be too tired to track severe weather the next day. We're still going to do it. I'm not canceling it. I'm not canceling it, man. We're definitely going to be doing the gaming stream on Friday, this upcoming Friday. We might just have to throw in a bit of severe talk in it too. Severe weather talk. So, yeah. Friday just works out the best because Lucky's free literally all day. And then the only problem with that is it's not the fact of like severe weather being possible on Friday. If that does happen, it's the fact that if anything happens Saturday, I'm going to be way too exhausted to track. But you know, sometimes you miss severe threats. You can't cover them all. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for this live stream. If you guys want an update on snow totals and everything, go watch the first 30 minutes of this live stream. That was full of information about this event. And I'm going to get rid of some of these. Oh, hey, there's a snowfall report. Finally, we got one. 7 inches of snow just south of South Bend. There you go. So I told you it was at least 3 to 4 inches of snowfall. There's our first report. 7 inches of snow south of South Bend. And that's probably going to be upwards of, upwards of 18 inches of snowfall by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys maybe Tuesday. That's the next possible live stream or video. We'll see. I won't see y'all tomorrow, unfortunately. So I will give a severe weather update, a little breakdown of our severe threat tomorrow on Twitter. So you can follow me there, TRG Tornado, same as this username on Twitter. And I will talk about the severe threat for Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, if it still holds. Because like I said, I don't really want to get too in depth on it on this stream. I really didn't. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday night. And if you're in the affected areas by this snowfall, the best thing to do is to just simply not drive. Driving is the worst, probably the worst thing you could do during a winter storm. So leave that to the storm chasers. And obviously, if you've watched any chasers, even they can wreck sometimes because snow is very dangerous, especially snow like this where you have wind gusts embedded inside of heavy blinding snowfall, and snow squalls are also very dangerous. So just stay safe out there. Try your best not to drive unless you have to. And I appreciate all you mods from on chat. Pete, welcome to the stream. I didn't see you. Sorry. I don't know if you just joined, but welcome, Pete. And thank you for modding chat, Pete, Ben, Legacy, Caleb, and everyone else for tuning in here. Also, hold on really quick. Thank you, Charles, for the $4 donations today. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys, once again, have a great rest of your Sunday night. Stay safe, watch severe weather, and now I gotta say, mostly, watch the snowfall. Goodbye. Stay safe, plus every weather in the snowfall. Thank you much for watching.